Hi everybody! Alright, I'm just making this video to channel a message. So I don't have a topic, I don't know what it's going to be about. So we'll just see what Spirit Realm has to share with us today. so there's hands, and then there's hands in front of mine set on top of my hands. My hands keep getting smaller and smaller and smaller. These other hands keep getting bigger, but they're not necessarily getting so big. They're not continuing to grow. They just get bigger, but then they stop getting bigger. It's odd because the image keeps shifting and changing, so it's even shrinking down in size. And now even the image itself is getting smaller. Our hands getting bigger. Is the image getting smaller? It's just a eye catch. It's sort of it's complicated on the eyes. It's making the eyes do some work to try to understand what is taking place here. So, Spirit wants me to keep looking at the image, keep looking at the details, keep looking at what is going on here, keep trying to make sense of it. So, my hands are the hands that are set right here, and then there's other hands just going on top of mine. So, my hands are getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And I feel there's some sort of frustration I feel in that, because why are my hands getting smaller? Why can't I make my hands get bigger? Why are these hands on top of my hands? Whose hands are they? Why are they growing? Mine are getting smaller. And why is the image getting smaller and then further away from me? So I'm just going to be patient and then watch and see what it all means. It's just, there's really the aspect of feeling like you're getting smaller. Not necessarily going inward, but just not necessarily being loud or explosive either. Not necessarily feeling inspired to make moves or change your pace, but just, if my hands are getting smaller, that's okay. I don't necessarily, I'm sort of confused by it. Abby is, I am, but in the scene, this version of me isn't necessarily bothered by it. It's just accepting of the experience. Not necessarily needing to be loud, not necessarily needing to play the hand slap game and get you back, or whatever it might be. It's really fascinating how this image does not choose to just be straight ahead in my face. This image is choosing to be like way down there, way far away. I'm sort of looking from up above, looking downward, and almost sort of like looking up and then down. And it's sort of in a weird, at a weird angle, and it's really sort of distorted and stretched or thin, or it's very distorted image. The more I try to keep looking at details, the more I try to get closer to it, the more that I try to manifest, the more that I'm trying, the more complicated things get. So I'm not going to try. And it's easier, the image just comes back to me. Everything's going in reverse. My hands are being pulled back. They never were there in the first place. There are no hands. It's just a blank image sort of thing. Everything's going back in reverse to nothing, to the beginning again. But there is no beginning, so where do we start? I don't know. But right now it's just showing me literally like a tape playing backwards. What I was seeing, all the weird distortions, it's getting further away. Now it's coming back up. Everything is going back in reverse. And now we're starting over again. Hands are here. What comes next? They're saying if you had a second chance in life and you knew you had a second chance, how would you do things differently? And what would it be? What would you want a second chance in? Like, what's the thing? What's the thing that you want to try it differently? The fascinating thing about this is we don't have a clue. We don't have a freaking clue what a second chance actually means, because what they're projecting here is it's just a thought-provoking thing. What if you've already lived this lifetime? You don't have a clue how you lived it before. You only are living it, right? But you could do things differently. Like, let's say, you know what, one of the biggest things that I struggle with, I'm not going to struggle with it this time. This time I'm going to get through it. This time I'm going to figure out a way to go beyond it. This time I'm not going to just give up and, let my anger issues get the best of me. Or this time I'm not just going to, there's something about really exploring in an opposing direction. Like, let's say you have a second chance to live this lifetime. Make it count. Make everything you do count. That's what they're saying. Make it all count. You don't know. Maybe last time you just decided, you know what, this was good enough. I'll just stay in my job. I'll just accept the radio. Music is the same repetitive crap I've been hearing. Nothing seems to have fabricated real depth and meaning. It just feels like plastic, garbage, cardboard crap I'm eating in my brains for morning and then for lunch and then for dinner and every moment in between. But I'll just accept that. Because I don't want to ruffle any feathers. I don't want to ruffle my own feathers. I don't want my life to get turned upside down. I don't want to change anything because change creates challenge. And I don't want to be challenged. Well, you didn't choose the challenge last time. Now this time, are you going to not choose the challenge again? Or are you going to say, you know what? I would be better off to try and do it differently, even if it's challenging for a year or 2 years to get myself settled again. It'd be worth it to deal with that frustration for 2 years than to keep dealing with this frustration for the rest of my life. There's something to this. That is seriously the energy and the contemplative thought that they're telling me. That they want to tell us all this. To really dig deep and really think about your life. Really think about, let's just say you've already lived this life and now you're on it round 2 just to see if you would do it differently this time. What is something that you probably should do differently this time? You know what it is deep down inside. You know what it is, but would you do it? Even if it means a little bit of chaos, a little bit of friction, a little bit of challenge for the next 2 years. Could be really challenging for the next 2 years. It might be stressful. It might be really annoying. You may not be sure where you're going to go next in your life. It may just be a real pain in the rear. But there's something about choosing to step into some new reflection of yourself because you're choosing to honor what it is you're actually wanting deep down inside. What is it you want deep down inside? Usually that thing is going to cause some problems because this world inspires us to behave in a way that we don't do the one thing we really want to do deep down inside. We do the one thing that makes sense in this world, but nothing really does make sense. Because what is the structure of society is not bringing out the best in us. It's not bringing out the warmer sides of us. It's not inspiring us to help each other. It's inspiring us to separate from each other. It's inspiring us to be annoyed by each other. It's inspiring us to feel alone inside because our personal lives are really hard. And then we have to go to work and then try and deal with work and then go back home. And nobody has a clue who we actually are inside. We just are whoever we are on the outside to make that to be acceptable. That's what Spirit's talking about. That's all. You get to think about what this means to you. And you really need to think about it. That's what they're saying. They're saying something here. It's along the lines of, is it good enough to not follow your heart? is it good enough to not follow your heart? Because if you don't follow your heart, life will just be good enough, right? But if you follow your heart, life might not be good enough for a while, but it might just become way better than good enough ever could have been. You know what I mean? Because you actually went deep down and explored what it was that you really truly want for yourself and for your life, and then you chose to honor that. You chose to honor that, which is also choosing to be respectful of yourself, your needs, your heart, your dreams, and your soul even, and the souls of all of those other people that are in your life, because they too are affected by you not choosing to be yourself, you not choosing to honor your heart. How many of us are in this bucket together, not really honoring our hearts? Because how easy is it to truly honor your heart? Sometimes in this world, it's a lot harder. Because heart isn't really the manifestation here. It's sort of a robotic willpower with some really over-fueled egos. And then a lot of just people that just don't care because it's too hard to care. And then some people just don't know any better, you know? So in the midst of all of this, you really look at the world today, you really look at how human beings are reacting towards each other and towards the world they live in, and we really are thinking about this stuff. You're watching this video because you too think about these things. You too wonder about these things. You too have a heart. You too desire to see a world of love and change. You too probably don't have a clue how you're here to manifest that. One of the biggest answers that always comes on how do I manifest change in my own individual life, but how do we manifest change as a totality? You manifest change by choosing love. That is how you manifest change. Love equals love. Love expands exponentially in love. Love creates, love grows, love expands, love inspires, love develops passion, love heals. Would you rather have, if you had an emotional wound, do you want somebody to be beating you up emotionally and making things worse? Or do you really just want somebody to understand? And now that emotional wound actually starts to not feel so painful because you have somebody who loves you and cares about you. Now love heals the emotional pain. Love heals the mental pain. Love heals the physical pain. Hugs are great. Kisses are great. Love works. Love rejuvenates things. We already know that plants that listen to hate music don't grow as well as plants that are listening to like classical music. They start to thrive because the sounds are inspiring. The sounds are creative. The sounds aren't on the destructive vibrations. There's nothing wrong with heavy metal, but that's quite fascinating when you study it scientifically. How does heavy metal music inspire the growth of plants over classical music, for instance? There's something to this, There's something to it. So love is what you have to align with in order to change everything for yourself. And when you choose to say, all right, I have this one thing that I really would like to change in my life, but I have no idea how that's ever going to happen. I don't know what it is for you. You have to ask yourself. So what you do is you acknowledge the one thing, okay? Maybe, I don't know why, but I always get really angry, I don't know what it might be an emotional thing you want to change. It might be a mental thing. It might be maybe your physical health has been challenged and but maybe it's a job, maybe it's a relationship, maybe it's, a financial challenge. It could be so many different things. There's so many spectrums of things that we really want to go deeper and sort of see some changes take place. We don't always know how to manifest those. One way to start exploring how to manifest those is to find out what it is in your heart. Actually take the time, get quiet, talk to God, talk to angels, take a mile-long walk, and just talk in your head for a while and say, I'm really trying to go deep here. I really want to figure out what it is that I'd really like to, honestly, in all honesty, change in my life. And so I really feel this is one thing. I've really wanted to move. I really want to see a whole new landscape. I really want to experience a different, kind of people, just a different town. Just, I live in the South. I'd like to move to Alaska or something. I live in Florida. I want to move to Alaska. I just always wanted to move to Alaska. I don't know why. And so that's something your heart has always wanted to do. Why aren't you doing it? I don't know. So anyway, you find out what it is you're wanting to explore. You acknowledge it, okay? You discover it, you say, well, this is one thing. So you now are acknowledging it, okay? Now that you've acknowledged it, acknowledge you don't have a freaking clue how to make that happen. Because usually when these things are acknowledged, we don't have a clue how we're going to fix it. So that's when you take the acknowledgement and say, you know what, I am open to change now. And if you say you're open to change, you actually have to take that seriously. If you're open to moving to Alaska, now you need to take that seriously and say, you know what, this is something, I'm putting this down as something I will do. That means I'm going to change my job. Means my partner may not want to move to Alaska. But you got to take it seriously. I really haven't been enjoying this job. I've worked for this company for the last 10 years, and I just never really, I just really like to see a different type of scenery. You have to explore this. So I'm going to take a pause here, and I'm going to work with Spirit on what we were going to do next, okay? Because this is a really big part of the message. I don't know why the message had to start with the scene that it did, but it did start with that scene. So there's a reason for everything. See what they say. They're saying, so you want to make a change. They're showing me a globe. They're showing me an earth with a lot of people. We are acknowledging within our hearts, within ourselves, that this world needs to change. We don't know how to change the world, so we have to change ourselves in order to change the world. How will you change yourself? They ask. You will change yourself by exploring what needs changed in your heart. Your heart then knows what needs changed. When your heart tells you to change something, will you follow your heart or will you say no to your heart? If you say no to your heart, then now you will say no to change across the globe. Most human beings do not have the willpower, the strength to feel vulnerability from change. So heart says, here's an opportunity to do things differently. You're like, nope, not doing it. So now why should the world change? If you're not going to change, why should the world change? That's what they're saying. So how will you change? They're saying when the heart speaks about change, you're going to label it as the impossible. How will you transform the impossible into something possible? The heart doesn't manifest the idea of change if it's impossible. The heart manifests the idea of change, and now your spirit guides are all over it, ready to help you with this change. Now you are inspired to explore the gift of trust. Trust that this is coming to you for a reason. Trust that this is correct. Trust that this is essential. Trust that this is essential for you and for the world that you want to live in. When you choose to change yourself, you choose to change the world. What will you choose to change in yourself? That's what they're saying. That's all they're going to say. That's it. That's all they're saying. We're done. That's the end of this conversation. All right. There's a lot going on in there. I'm just going to let you digest it. I'm just going to let you decide what it means to you. It's kind of a cool little swirly of sort of imagery, and then just talking like a human being, because it's good to just talk like a human being sometimes. My spirit guides are wanting me to do that more. And then obviously Spirit's always awesome at making sense of everything. When we're human beings, we can get stuck in the rap sheet of our thoughts and our feelings and trying to figure it out. We can even get stuck trying to figure out how to explain ourselves. But when we choose to let that go and open up to the spirit realm, it's amazing how good they are at creating concrete understanding. So even in this regard, you can sort of explore Abby's method for trying to explain, and then spirit method for explaining. It's really shows the value of opening up to the spirit realm and allowing them into your life, allowing their very good direction to sort of embrace you and motivate you, inspire you, and get you changing. All right. That's all I can share for this video. I hope you liked it. I hope it makes a difference. I hope it gives you something to think about and something to explore this year. Some new way, new pattern of expressing yourself, some new pattern of being. So thank you for watching. If you're interested in visiting with me one-on-one, I do share spiritual healing and psychic wisdom at my website at abbynormalswisdomquest.com.